Okay, so from x equals x1 to x equals x2, I'll just kind of continue here. If x changes from x1 to x2, then y changes from what to what? Well, y equals f of x. If x equals x1, then y would be, the corresponding value of y would be f of x1. And I'll call that value y1. Okay, so I'll say from y1 equals f of x1 to y2 equals f of x2. I didn't have to use y1 and y1. I could just say y changes from f of x1 to f of x2 and be done with it. So if this use of y1 and y2 is confusing to you, put it aside for a minute and just say, okay, clearly, since y equals f of x, if x changes from x1 to x2, y changes from f of x1 to f of x2. Okay? And x changes from x1 to x2. So in this case, change in y I could write it as y2 minus y1, but that doesn't reference me back to the x1 and x2. That equals f of x2 minus f of x1. And why is it f of x2 minus f of x1? Well, the first value of y is f of x1, the second value is f of x2. If I change from, let's say, 4 to 7, my change is 3. Well, if I subtract the 4 from the 7, that's exactly what I get. I subtract this from this to get that change, and you want to be sure you understand that. Okay, so we have y2 minus y2 equals f of x2 minus f of x1. And if you don't like the y2 minus y1, just understand that if x goes from x1 to x2 and y equals f of x, then the change in x is from f of x1 to f of x2, and that change is f of x2 minus f of x1. A change in x is x2 minus x1. So the average rate, it's actually average rate of change of y with respect to x, because that's all there, but I'll just put the dots down there. You don't want to forget that, though. Is what? It's f of x2 minus f of x1, and I got to put parentheses around that because I'm going to write this out in kind of linear fashion, over x2 minus x1. That's for the situation when you're going from x1 to x2. Now, if x goes from A to B, well, the reasoning's exactly the same. Your y1 would be f of A, your y2 would be f of B. The change in y would be f of B minus f of A. Change in x would be B minus A. Instead of x2 minus x1, we're going from A to B. So you would get that the average rate is f of B minus f of A over B minus A. That's for this case. Now what about this case? You should stop at this point and write out what you would get for this case using the same reasoning that we've done here. If you can't do it, you go on to the next video, but see if you can get it before the next video, because if you do, it's probably going to make sense of something that might have been puzzling you.